Ready? Shabbat Shalom and a glorious Victory in Europe Day to those of us celebrating our triumph over fascism. It's good to see you all again and to be with you and to celebrate together. We are in our transition of trying to return to a more face-to-face community. We have here gathered together a small, socially distanced minyan, and hopefully within the weeks to come, we'll be able to start shifting towards something more inclusive on a face-to-face basis. But this week, we want to thank Greg and Bob and Becky and Rachel and Ben and Sharon and Amanda and my own beloved Robin and my own beloved Avi for forming our minyan today. And we're going to start with a little music to alter our mood and shift us into an idiom of Shabbat, out of the weekday and into the Sabbath. So we begin this week, as we begin every week, with good and blessing, thinking about some of the things that are happening in our community to our fellow Kolamites that bring good and blessing to their lives and enrich all of our lives. And I'll begin with birthdays. So we want to recognize Jackie Edelman and Joanne Barnes and Brian Budd, Daniel Irwin, Zach Hoffman, David Itkin, and our soon-to-be bar mitzvah, Jacob Lapidus, all of whom are celebrating birthdays this week. For anniversaries, wow, it's the Lapidus family has just got all kinds of things going on. It's Brian and Rebecca's anniversary this week. So we want to recognize them and offer our best wishes to all of them. And let's see, do we have any online good and blessing?
None that have come in.
Anybody in the room want to share? Greg?
Thanks to Snapchat, I've been able to watch my niece start taking her first few steps these last few weeks.
Oh.
Isn't that remarkable that, it really is an amazing blessing that we have the capacity to participate in things far away from us. And so in many ways, we are so blessed to live at this age. Anybody else have anything good and blessing to report? Only 2 more weeks of school left. It's true. And hopefully this will wrap up. I hope your teachers are being kind to you under these circumstances. Are they? Some. I just gave my final at the University of North Texas. So for all intents and purposes, I'm done with this semester. So hopefully we'll all have this wrapped up, and then we'll have tons of free time that we didn't have before to do things. I'm so excited. So we're going to start and welcome.
We do have one now. Mark Davis said his daughter Sarah came home, and they're going to be able to celebrate Mother's Day with her.
Oh, lovely.
And then Casey said she sent you something, but I don't.
Sent me something.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Casey has provided us with these awesome individually packed halot. We've got 10 of them, one for every single participant here. Isn't that cool? So this Shabbat has door prizes. So, all right, that's an incentive to the rest of you to want to come back. All right, we're going to get the Sabbath started. I'm going to invite those who have a prayer book to turn to page 1, but you know how this goes. We're going to welcome the light of Shabbat, the enduring presence of God's light in our lives, and it's my privilege to invite my wife, Robin, to do the honors of kindling for Shabbat.
I'll move over here with him if you want. Okay.
Oh, no, you've got an extra camera.
Okay, awesome. In the beginning, when the Spirit of God hovered over the darkness, God's first creation was light. As we kindle these Shabbat lights, we attest to the majesty of God's work and rejoice in its beauty. Light is a symbol of divinity and creative goodness. It is the outward sign of that inner spark, which God has granted each of us. In hope and with love, we now welcome Shabbat with light. Old school.
Old school is best.
No, maybe
No,
not.
maybe.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Are we going to sing it?
Yes, go ahead.
Well, is Lindsay going to sing it?
Oh, it's always been Becky singing it, but yes, we'll get Lindsay to
I
sing
can
it.
sing it.
You can sing it. I know you can sing it.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Praised are you, Adonai, whose presence fills the world, who houses us with mitzvot and inspires us to kindle Shabbat lights.
May God bless us with Shabbat joy. May God bless us with Shabbat holiness. May God bless us with Shabbat peace. Amen. I wouldn't do this with anyone else.
I'm glad to hear it.
And now we're going to begin our welcome of the Sabbath, Kabbalat Shabbat. The great mystical tradition started in the 16th century. We're going to begin with Psalm 97 this week. We're going to go to page 4, Psalm 97. Or Zoruach leTzadik v'lishrei lev simcha. Adonai reigns, let the land exult, and the many islands rejoice. Dense clouds surround God. Righteousness and justice are the foundation of God's throne, and God's lightning illumines the world. Light is sown for the righteous, and radiance for the upright of heart. O you who are righteous, rejoice in Adonai and acclaim God's holy name. We're going to go now to Psalm 99, and I'm going to ask Lindsay to lead us in Ramemu. It is you, God, who has established equity, you who works righteous judgment in Jacob. Exalt Adonai, our God, and bow down towards God's footstool. God is holy. Exalt Adonai, our God, and bow down towards God's holy mountain. for Adonai, our God, is holy. We continue now with Psalm 29 in English. Ascribe to Adonai, you children of God. Ascribe to Adonai glory and strength. Ascribe to Adonai the glory of God's name. Worship Adonai in the beauty of holiness. May Adonai give strength to this people. May Adonai bless this people with peace. We come now to Lecha Dodi, the mystical poem in which we welcome the Sabbath into our midst. We'll be on page 7 if you have the prayer book. And when we reach the final stanza, it is traditional for us to rise and, both figuratively and literally, welcome the Sabbath bride into our midst. Lecha Dodi. So rouse yourself, for your light has come. Arise, shine, awaken, awaken. Give forth a song. The glory of Adonai is revealed to you. So come in peace, you crown of your husband, with rejoicing and with joy, to those who are faithful, a treasured people. Come, O Shabbat bride, come, O bride. We continue now with Psalm 92, Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat. We'll do that in English. A psalm, a song for Shabbat. It is good to give thanks to Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night, with a harp, with voice and lyre in unison. Sadik Katamar Yifrach v'ke'erez v'Lebanon Yizgeh. and the righteous, they shall bloom like a palm. They shall thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. We continue now with the Hatzi Kaddish as we transition into the formal service.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא נברא הירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל. בגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם וינשא, ויתהלל, 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 שמי בקדושה בריאו, לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, להמירן בעלמא, ואמרו אמן.
And now we reach beyond our own time and custom to return to a moment when we imagine ourselves as a royal court in the presence of the Sovereign of Sovereigns. Please rise if you're able for the Baruch Hu. Now we praise God for giving us a steady foundation of times and seasons that move with predictability, assuring us with confidence that our foundation is secure. We do Ma'ariv Aravim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim, Bochochma poteach sha'arim, uvitvuna mishane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakokavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirotzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'hoshech mipnei or, umavir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uben layla, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El Chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Ma'ariv Aravim. May God govern us always to the end of time. Praised are you, Adonai, who makes evening fall. And unending is your love for your people, the house of Israel, as revealed by the fact that you have given us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down tonight and when we rise up in the morrow, we will meditate on your laws and rejoice in your Torah and mitzvot forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life and the length of our days. And then your love shall never depart from our hearts. Blessed is Adonai, who loves the people Israel. The Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed.
Seated. And love fully realized is love that's reciprocal. So as we acknowledge God's love for us, so we affirm our love for God and God's values with the V'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיהם. אני אדוני אלוהיהם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות להם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיהם.
And now, acknowledging the umpteen ways, both obvious and hidden from us, that God is our help, we recite Emet v'emunah, true and enduring. True and enduring, beloved and precious, awesome, good and beautiful is this eternal teaching. This truth we hold to be forever certain. Adonai is our ruler, the rock of Jacob, shield of our salvation. Adonai, our God, you redeemed us from Egypt. You set us free from the house of bondage. For this, the people who felt your love sang songs of praise to you. Living God, high and exalted, mighty and awesome, who humbles the proud, raises the lowly, who frees the captive and redeems the oppressed, who is the answer to all who cry out for help. All praise to God Most High, the source of blessing, and like Moses and Israel, we sing this song of rejoicing. Micha Mocha. And now we ask that God's guardianship continue for us through the night and into the future with Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Grant this night that we should lie down in peace, Adonai our God, and raise us up tomorrow, O Sovereign, to a life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good name, and for your name's sake, be our help. Shield us from hatred and plague. Keep us from war, famine, and anguish. Subdue our inclination to evil. O God, our guardian and helper, our gracious and merciful sovereign, give us refuge in the shadow of your wings. O guard our coming and our going, that always we have life and peace. We praise you, O God, whose sukkah of peace is spread over us, over all your people, Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai foreh sukkot shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim. We come now to the next part of our service, tefillah. We recall that we are, both in our lives, in our communities, and in our actions, part of something much bigger than ourselves. The blessing of ancestry and tradition, the strength of God's presence, and the awesome power of a universe far beyond our comprehension. Please rise for tefillah.
Adonai, sefatoi tiftahu v'yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open our lips and our mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Emoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezoher HaSe'avot ve'imahot, U'meivi Geula livnei bneihem, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב למושיע. מחכן הרים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. תומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לישני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבולות, ומי דומה אליו, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. למען אתה להיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום נהלו הסלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Be seated. And we're going to continue now with Vishamru in celebration of this day, the Sabbath.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות מדינת עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות מדינת עולם. בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות מדינת עולם. כי ששת ימים נאו ביום השביעי, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות מדינת עולם. Let's go back to verse 2 because I skipped over it. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לדורות המריד עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורות המריד עולם.
Reminding us to be ever thankful and ever receptive to one another, we now recite Reitzei. Reitzei Adonai Eloheinu ba'amcha Yisrael u'tefilatam ba'ahava tikabel. Adonai, our God, show favor towards your people Israel and lovingly receive our prayers. May our worship and the worship of your people always be acceptable. For you alone do we hold in reverence. And we also give thanks to you, Adonai, our God and God of our ancestors, for you are the rock of our lives, the shield of our salvation in every generation. We thank you and we recite your praises. Let all the living affirm you and praise your name as the God of our salvation and help. Praised are you, Adonai. Goodness is your name. All praises to you. Baruch atah Adonai hatov shimcha lecha ne'eh lahodot. We're going to close out, as we always do, with a prayer for growing and expanding peace, Shalom Rav. And then we're going to take a few moments to offer up our own prayers and reflections. Please take a moment for your own silent prayers and reflections.
Let's try the major key Jose Shalom today, just for the heck of it. Jose Shalom, Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'kol Israel, ve'imru amen. Jose Shalom, Shalom bimromav.
So, which holiday is this? Really, I mean, it does feel like a holiday, but it feels like every holiday, right? It's as restful as Shabbat. It's as farcical as Purim. It's as hopeful as Passover. It's as grim as Yom HaShoah. It seems to be as fragile as Sukkot. And I'm thinking about food all the time, so it must be Yom Kippur. Really, it's just remarkable, this strange enforced holiday that we're all on. And the idea of the force of holidays to shape our lives and to help us find rhythm and to understand the most fundamental things about our lives is what Judaism teaches us. So here we are. Our Torah portion this week is Emor, and probably the most prominent feature about it, other than discussing the priesthood a great deal, which might excite a few people out there, but for most of us is kind of a Passover, is that it talks about the full list of Jewish holidays as they existed in biblical times. So it talks about Pesach, and it talks about Sukkot, and it talks about Shavuot, which is the holiday which is coming up. And that's really what I want to alert you to. As we fall into the blur of these times and we move from one point to another, asking each other the question, what day is it? Is it a Friday? Is it a Thursday? That we should always use the Jewish calendar as a fixed compass to guide us. And Thursday night, May 28th, it will be Shavuot, the celebration, Zman Matan HaTorah, the time of the giving of the Torah. And how will we celebrate it under these strange circumstances? Well, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I hang out with a bunch of the smaller congregation rabbis in the DFW area. We're all sitting in the suburban periphery, so I like to call us the outlandish rabbis. And we have decided to pool our resources, and we are going to do an online multi-rabbinic Shavuot on Thursday the 28th. So I will be presenting, Charlie Citron Walker will be presenting, Ben Sternman will be presenting, as well as one of our retired colleagues, Mike Cummins, who has wonderful teachings that he does on both prayer and the natural world. So we're going to offer something we've never offered before, and I hope you will put that as a fixed point on your calendar and think about that. Now, the festival cycle described in Emor takes us from Shavuot to Rosh Hashanah. It makes sense in terms of the Jewish calendar that, as the Torah is wont to do, it tends to sometimes insert seemingly extraneous ideas in it. And one that keeps popping up here is one that at first glance does not seem to belong. It is the verse that says, when you harvest your land, you shall not remove completely the corners of your field as you reap. Rather, you shall leave gleanings of your harvest. For the poor and the stranger you shall leave them. I, the Eternal, am your God. Now, this is not something we haven't heard before. In fact, we just heard it a week and maybe 2 weeks ago in Kiddushin, where another version of the same commandment comes to us. Why now? Why here? Well, the most obvious thing is that, in fact, Shavuot is a harvest festival. You thought we had one in Sukkot, but we got two. Because in the land of Israel, you go through two cycles. There's the barley growth and the barley harvest that takes us into the summer. And then there is the wheat, which grows and is harvested at Sukkot. So Shavuot not only celebrates the giving of the Torah, it guarantees that we're going to have barley to make some nice beer as we go into the fall. All right, but there's something else going on here with the commandment to not take our gleanings, but to leave them. According to the rabbis, every word, every letter of the Torah is there for a reason. And assuming this, the Torah is trying to teach us something. Let's start with the idea that this mitzvah is an ethical one in the middle of a series of ritual practices The holidays don't in themselves serve a moral purpose. They are a lodestone, a guide to being Jewish, a way of identifying with our traditions, but also with our values. So this particular commandment is one that says the stranger and the poor need food to feed themselves and their families, even though they don't have their own land and their own resources. And given our circumstances now, when we're looking at a moment in our American history where perhaps 14, 15% of Americans are unemployed, this is a wonderful ethical imperative. Take care of your family and enable at the same time those in more dire straits to feed their families. Indeed, the book of Ruth features this. The book we read on Shavuot is the story of two displaced women finding themselves alone and struggling, and Israelites come to their aid and assure their life. Indeed, Rabbi Avdimi ben Yosef writes that this juxtaposition to teach that if someone leaves his gifts for the poor as God has commanded, it is regarded as if he has built the temple and brought his offerings to it. And in fact, we see this going on around the United States. The reality is that many producers of the things we consume have lost a lot of their market. And so they're doing what I think is a beautiful thing. They are, what they can't sell, they're giving. I hope you've all seen the story about all the potatoes that have been bagged and are now available for people to pick up. Unfortunately, the distribution system puts them close to the farms, but they're not letting them rot in the field. They're making them available to people. Likewise, earlier, there was a story about dairy farmers providing milk and selling it or offering it directly out of their dairy farms. And in an unrelated food story, I know that at least one airline has donated the seats that it can't fill to first responders and medical personnel so that they can travel during this time. These are leaving the gleanings. These are helping our fellow human beings. And it's a great connection to Shavuot, because now we see temples being built out of potatoes and out of milk and out of airline tickets. But we can ask, is this the mitzvah that should be placed before the laws of Rosh Hashanah? Think about the major purpose of where we're headed with Yamim HaNorim, the days of awe. It's the theme of teshuvah, of repentance. In the days of the temple, we would bring offerings, food offerings to the temple in order to affect and demonstrate the sincerity of our repentance. We don't do that anymore. Instead, we offer prayers. So if we can't offer a korban, we can at least offer the corners of our fields as an act of repentance, of a recognition that we have enjoyed so much benefit, so much privilege, and it's time for us to give back. What happens, however, if you don't have a field, at least in Israelite times? Well, you know, everyone was obligated to do it. The rabbis taught us that for those who did not have produce, they should give tzedakah in the forms of whatever they produced, or if they had excess wealth, to use their money. So our fields, maybe they're food kitchens and food pantries. Yet these food pantries, even as we speak, are running empty, especially in these most difficult times. I'm told that if you go to food pantries in Dallas, you can actually see SUVs and BMWs lining up at food distribution sites because so many people have been laid off. Many, many poor, but even people we would consider middle class and affluent. I don't have to emphasize this to you. We're all feeling it, even if we are fortunate enough to have employment. So my suggestion for fulfilling this mitzvah coming up to Shavuot is that maybe we should buy some additional food and donate it to the kitchens in our area. $10 of canned food and non-perishables, tuna, pasta, wheat. Go every time you go shopping, buy yourself $10 more. And if you can't afford 10, do 5. If you can't afford 5, do something. Such a mitzvah will encourage God to inscribe us in the book of life and will signal that we truly honor and have received and have understood what the Torah is asking of us. Simple enough. I mean, you're bored, you're sitting at home, you can drive, you can go drop these things off. This mitzvah connects our active and busy spring with the long, slow days of summer, and eventually it will hopefully take us into a open and whirlwind fall and Rosh Hashanah, God willing. Even more, this mitzvah connects us to that greatest of all Jewish goals, Tikkun Olam, rectifying the world, making it a better place, not just for ourselves, for everyone. That will place us in good stead with God, in good stead with our fellow human beings, and we truly, truly know what time it is. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So it's time for our announcements, and now it's my delight to invite up our president, the ever diligent, ever hardworking Becky Leonard. You would not believe how hard this woman has been working. She is going to do our announcement.
Oh, and take a nice breath without my mask on this evening. Welcome to Shabbat as we take our first step forward of slowly reopening the community. So to the minion that is here this evening, both the volunteers and the voluntold, I say thank you. I'm related to more than half of them in one shape or another. So I appreciate whether it's guilt or just pure mom says that they are here this evening. I really don't have a lot of announcements. We are just going to continue status quo for the next Fridays. We are going to move forward with our 10-person in-person minion. I'll remind you that the sign-up sheet is on the website. We look forward to seeing new faces. We are very socially distant. Everyone in here is strongly urged to wear a mask, and we have been doing so. We have discontinued Havdalah on Saturday evenings, and we are not reinstating Torah and Tefillah till the very end of May at this point. So other than that, religious school is done. I hope everyone enjoyed the last 5 weeks of their online learning. So we appreciate the patience that you had with us. Otherwise, I wish you a peaceful, restful Shabbat, and I will turn this back over to Rabbi for, I just totally lost the word. Elenu. Well, not Elenu. No. Mishabera. Thank you. So it's not just Lindsay that can forget words and all those things. It's everyone. We're never perfect.
Everyone. So over here we have our Mishabera list. So if you have a prayer book, you want to go to page 40. You can, of course, look it up online because we're not watching. Or you can simply call it from memory. So we want to honor those people and remember them, include them in our prayers, people who are suffering from illnesses, whether they be of body or spirit. The list we have here this week includes Anna Binder, Sid Binder, Dave Cook, Lucille Goff, Michelle Griffith, Mel Gross, Judy Horowitz, Deb Kaufman, Clayton Kirkwood, Alex Koenig, Lauren Koenig, Bill Lee, Sandy Lenzner, Judy Morisak, Don Neal, Adrian Sandler, Myra Schussler, and Ben Weisbard. Do we have any other names that have been submitted? Anybody in the room have a name? Greg?
Sally and Dan Castetter.
Thank you. All right. Wait a moment. And we're going to go ahead and
Jackson McClellan.
Jackson McClellan we want to include also. So ladies and gentlemen, we offer a Mishaberak. May the one who blessed our ancestors also bless these ailing people. Lindsay?
Help us find the courage to make
So let's see here. Who could I have come up to the bima and stand close to me while we do the Aleinu? Avi, come on up. My beloved eldest son. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're able, please rise.
Go this way. Oh.
Page 82. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon ha'kol, l'tekiru la'yotzer breshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkinu kahem, v'goraleinu k'chol hamonam. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נותן שמיים ויוסד הארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים ושכינתו זו Vegohe merohi, hu Eloheinu eno, emet malkeinu efesulato, kakatu b'torato, yadata hayom, b'makevota el levavecha. Ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim ve'al ha'aretz mitachat elot. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand, but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the sea, and illumine your universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace. Yom HaChol,
Hayom HaChol, Yeh Adonai Echad, Hu Shema, Hu Shema, Hu Shema Echad.
Now is our time to honor those who have died, whether they have died recently or at this season in years past. As we think of them, we meditate upon the meaning of love and of loss, of life and of death. It's in that spirit, therefore, that we think lovingly of Jerry Cagle, the husband of Lisa Cagle and the father of Jeff, Greg, Andy, and Carly Wisniewski, who passed away yesterday. Is there anyone else with a name for Shiva? This week, we want to think of those who are in Shloshim. We're thinking of Ralph Candelario Jr., Sybil Paley, Sheila Sugar, and Marjorie Zamachow. I'm sorry. I hope I said that right. I didn't butcher that. Zamachow. May all of those be remembered. Is there any other name for our Shloshim? No? Thank you. And then for yard sites this week, we want to remember Linda Payne, David Kruger, Paul Marks, Rabbi Dr. Aaron Pankin, and Major Morris H. Weiser. Is there any other yard sites?
Allison Krause.
Thank you. The memory of all those people are fresh for those who miss them. May they grow in sweetness in their memory. For those of the rest of us gathered here, we show our sympathy by joining together, rising, and on page 85, reciting Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, v'galal v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei dekudsha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran ve'elma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav hu yasei shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort all the bereaved among us. And let us say,
Amen.
Lindsay, time passes so slowly that 24 hours ago, I talked to you about the closing song and I cannot remember what we decided.
You asked me to do Hine Matov, but if you
Oh.
have other suggestions, I'm willing to take them.
Then that's what we're doing.
All right.
To our more familiar seder we do on Shabbat, it's time for us to do Kiddush. And I invite Lindsay to assist us in that, and then we will say the bracha for Challah.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kisham b'mitzvotav v'ratzah B'Shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'ratzon hilhilanu, zikaron le'maaseh v'reshit, ki hu yom tehillah le'mikra'ei kodesh, zeher le'tziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'ahavta ve'otanu קידשת מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך באהבה ורצון הנהלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Amen.
L'chaim. And now we can show you our wonderful little Casey Halot. I'll clap two of them together in the traditional fashion. And, I'm thinking, we used to tear our bread, and then even before we all had to separate, we were stopping that. So I'm thinking maybe challah by flight. Yes, yes. All right. Yes, trajectory holla, and they're nicely aerodynamic. So let's give this a try. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Holla for you. Oh, and for you. Oh, okay. Greg, maybe underhand. Nope, too short. All right. Here we go. Yes. Wow. Oh, man. Beautiful. All right. It's a long pitch to Avi. Close, close. I'm better at this. You know, I've always been a natural athlete. I'm not abusing, you know, like manna from heaven. It rains down upon us. Oh, yes, of course. Next year. One more, you know, another plague, another time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Shabbat Shalom.